The story takes place in the year 2071 in the city of Moscow. The surroundings depict how the planet Earth has suffered greatly as a result of the intergalactic war fueled by Cherno, an evil scientist who dreams of conquering the entire universe. He is regarded as the most dangerous prisoner, having turned his experiments into weapons that endanger lives. 20 years after the war, humans, also known as Earthlings, continue to face hardships and struggle to meet their basic needs. Anton, a young male Earthling, waits in a long line of humans to refill his water supply when a mysterious figure from the shadows intentionally causes a metal pole to collapse from behind him. Anton manages to avoid the falling pole, but it causes a commotion in the area. The humans in line look at him in disbelief, accusing him of being evil. Out of annoyance at the constant accidents involving him, he has been plagued by bad luck. Meanwhile, the enigmatic figure, revealed to be Cherno's daughter Valaya, reports to her father in his enormous spaceship turned prison. Cherno is irritated by Valaya's repeated failures to stimulate Anton's DNA. His most recent invention, the protogene, a unique cell combination, is about to expire. The last remaining protogene is discovered within Anton's DNA. It is also the only key to his freedom. As a result, Cherno constantly pressures Valaya to continue pursuing Anton and finally killing him, which Valaya finds extremely burdensome. While Cherno's prison is located deep within the Earth, another massive spaceship flies directly above it inside the city. This spaceship is depicted as a dandelion-shaped stadium that hosts cosmoball, a high-risk flying sport. Intergalactic teams of 4 must kick the destructive ball of energy known as Wave Eater 5 times to open the opposing team's goal and score a point in this sport. Earthlings is made up of 3 gifted humans, Fan, Natasha, and Pele, who all skillfully strike their opponent's goal open despite being outnumbered. The game is broadcasted everywhere above the Earth's skies in large holographic screens, serving as the greatest source of entertainment for humans. On the contrary, Anton is dissatisfied with cosmoball's impact on humans. He chastises them for being too engrossed in a game when there are other things to do. There are far more important things to focus on, such as finding work and dealing with hunger. Back in the stadium, both the Earthlings and their current opponents, the Ferocious, open their respective goal zones. Stan, a star player for the Ferocious, scores a goal, giving them a 1-goal lead over the Earthlings. The Wave Eater is, in fact, one of Cherno's inventions. Cherno successfully intercepts a Wave Eater transfer and tosses the Wave Eater towards the machines. A few machines explode, severely injuring the guards. Bello, the Galactic Cosmoball League's leader, is compelled by this to momentarily halt the game and inform the players about the sudden technical difficulty. The guards reclaim control of the Wave Eater, and the game resumes as soon as the ball reaches the playing field. Though the game is a draw, it is the first time in history that the Earthlings triumphantly make it to the finals, earning a loud cheer from the human spectators in and out of the stadium. Cherno, on the other hand, screams in anguish at the sight of his creation transforming into rock lumps. The night falls, and Anton returns home to his ailing mother. He discovers his mother has been lying about her medical supplies and pretends to be fine. Anton dashes to the pharmacy, where he meets Anya, a young woman. They break into the pharmacy to steal food and medical supplies, but the alarm immediately attracts the attention of the police. 2 police officers, led by Captain Vasily, pursue them. While Anya remains hidden, Anton pretends to surrender alone in order to distract the officers. Anton then runs and collides with a speeding vehicle, causing him to scream in fear. Vasily inspects the front of the truck, only to discover the stolen medicine spilled all over the floor. They leave the scene perplexed, while Valaya, who has successfully disguised herself as the truck driver, smiles contentedly. Anya is later revealed to be Valaya, who has been following Anton all along. For the first time, Anton's fear has activated the protogene and his teleportation ability, causing him to teleport uncontrollably a few miles away from his previous location. Valaya, disguised as Anya, entices Anton to her basement and captures his attention through their shared interests, such as their dislike for cosmoball and desire to help their sick parents. Anton listens intently, oblivious to the reason Anya pulls a few strands of hair to collect a portion of the protogene from his DNA. Anya brings the strands of hair to her father. However, due to the insufficient amount, the protogene barely responds. Meanwhile, Anton returns home, surprised to see Bello and the Earthlings in their home. Bello confirms Anton's teleportation ability and expresses interest in hiring him as the Earthlings' fourth player. Anton politely declines, stating that he dislikes cosmoball and that he must care for his sick mother. Natasha steps in and demands that he find a cure for his sick mother in exchange for his approval. She persuades both Bello and Anton, and the deal is sealed with a handshake. Anton is immediately transported to the stadium ship, where he marvels at every sight. During his examination, Bello collects a sample of Anton's genetic material in order to create his own Sputnik, a droid that will serve as his gear and companion during the games. Everyone on Team Earthling has a Sputnik that is customized to their body type. Anton struggles slightly in the first few minutes of training but quickly gains control of his teleportation abilities. He adapts to his abilities quickly enough for Bello and the Earthlings to notice a situation they have never seen before. Bello, deep in thought, instructs Anton to play the first 2 games the next day and then resume his training. Bello then departs with Natasha to meet with the Galactic Council and discuss a possible cure for Anton's mother. The Council is disgusted by the prospect of assisting Anton and his mother with their intergalactic infection, but Bello insists on sticking to the agreement. After witnessing Anton's performance on the first day of training, he believes he is the most gifted athlete. Natasha spends time with Anton and expresses her feelings for him whenever she can, which baffles Anton most of the time. On a different note, Valaya, who has shape-shifted as her alternate identity Anya, catches Anton's attention due to their shared dislike for cosmoball and desire to find a cure for her father. She takes advantage of Anton by giving him a poisonous pod that has the potential to destroy the stadium ship and effectively end cosmoball. Anton's Sputnik arrives on the scene, accompanied by Natasha. Anya kisses Anton on the lips and slips the pod into his hand before they leave, while Anton's Sputnik looks at her suspiciously. Anton becomes interested in his Sputnik on the way back to the stadium ship. Natasha informs him that Sputniks alert their owners to potential threats, and may or may not activate battle mode based on the likelihood of danger. The following day, another game of cosmoball begins. Even after inspection, the poisonous pod remains undetected. To prepare for the game, the Earthlings communicate with their Sputniks. Anton gets the poisonous pod stuck beneath his glove while holding it warily. Anton talks to his Sputnik and takes off his glove. And Anton squeezes the poisonous pod with his hand, and its sap covers the stadium floor. Ship's Anton enters the waiting area without hesitation after following Anya's orders. As the athletes take the field, Anton finds himself surrounded by a large crowd cheering them on. Back at his house, his mother watches the game with him, looking healthier than ever thanks to the medications. Soon, the players take their positions and the game begins. Anton, on the other hand, sits on the ground and completely ignores the game, prompting the audience to label him a quitter. Bello pauses the game to summon Anton, attempting to reason with him. He shows Anton the entire stadium machinery ships and explains how cosmoball is more than just a game. He informs Anton about the war, Cherno, the Wave Eater, and his most recent invention, the protogene. Finally, he tells Anton that being an athlete allows him to give his fellow Earthlings something to look forward to in the midst of their current situation. Anton eventually realizes the consequences of his actions and returns to retrieve the poisonous pod he dropped, only to discover that it has already seeped into a section of the ship's stadium. He returns to the playing field and exclaims, "The stadium has been infected, but the game continues." Bello, thankfully, notices him and responds quickly by freezing the infected area. The poison spreads further, and the stadium ship enters emergency evacuation mode to protect the audience. When the Wave Eater dashes towards Natasha, she arrives to free the remaining audience trapped inside. Anton notices this and races to her aid before the athletes kick the Wave Eater 5 times, causing it to melt down. He loses consciousness after being struck by the Wave Eater, but he quickly regains consciousness. He immediately goes to confront Anya in her basement, but as soon as their eyes meet, she stuns Anton and reveals her true form as Valaya while confessing her admiration for him. Nonetheless, she is disappointed in him for not completely destroying the stadium ship and begins to collect a moderate amount of protogene in his DNA before rendering him unconscious. After detecting the threat, Anton's Sputnik searches for him quickly. When his Sputnik discovers him unconscious, it connects with him and ends up exhausting itself to heal Anton's injury. Cherno acquires the protogene from Valaya at the same time and begins his escape plan. Cherno summons another of his creations, a gigantic puppy-like creature, via the protogene. He connects with the creature to gain complete control and uses it as a spaceship. The protogene in his possession also allows him to teleport himself out. Anton eventually wakes up and notices Natasha and Bello beside him. Bello hears Cherno calling his name somewhere in the same basement. Cherno refers to Bello as his creator and invites him to join his forces. Natasha is perplexed when she hears this. She questions him right away, but Bello dismisses her. They all gather outside, along with the Ferocious and Amazonians, and briefly encounter Cherno as he successfully escapes and teleports out of planet Earth. Meanwhile, the athletes patrol the city while Bello informs the Galactic Council. He also reveals Cosmoball's closely guarded secret to everyone. They discover that Cosmoball is a war and that the stadium ship was built to save the planet from destruction. Anton's mother returns home to inform him that the athletes have won. Leaving for the war against Cherno, but Anton lies down exhausted and disheartened by the events around him, holding his Sputnik in his embrace. His mother turns to console him, saying that people make mistakes all the time on Earth, but there are strong people who try to fix the mistakes they've made. Bello is holding another meeting with the Galactic Council about their strategy when Natasha walks in. Natasha is still haunted by what she heard. She persists in asking Bello why Cherno addressed him as his creator. Bello is forced to tell her that Cherno is his greatest failure as a scientist. He claims Cherno was created in his image. He admits his mistakes, believing that Cherno would assist him in the same way that the Sputniks do. He has given him feelings, but he has failed to shape those feelings. The feud between Bello and Cherno has resulted in Cherno's exile, and has resulted in the events of the intergalactic war 20 years ago. Cherno prepares to launch his newly created rocket outside the planet Earth. His ship was attacked by Wave Eaters. He re-encounters Valaya, directing her to keep the athletes from leaving the planet for as long as she can. The massive battle begins immediately after Cherno sends a series of Wave Eaters to the Earth's surface. Simultaneously, Fan, Pele, and members of the Ferocious and Amazonians spread out in various positions outside the city in anticipation. They continue to kick at the approaching Wave Eaters, tossing it back and forth to complete the 5 strikes. Outside, the Galactic Fleet ships set up a trap for Cherno and his ship under the supervision of Bello. Cherno, on the other hand, nullifies the trap and destroys the ships alone, while Bello and Natasha watch in agony. They continue their pursuit of Cherno using the stadium ship. The athletes begin to feel tired while destroying the Wave Eaters. Stan is on the verge of overheating, and Fan has been injured by the Wave Eater. Despite this, they press on. The impact of their quick strikes causes some buildings in the city to collide. It is at this point that Anton unexpectedly stands up and witnesses what is going on. He speaks earnestly to his Sputnik and completes their connection. Anton eventually wakes up his Sputnik by calling it Mowgli. Anton sets out to help Fan and Pele. With the assistance of their fellow Earthlings, he transports the injured Fan to safety. Residents of Moscow seek refuge from the falling debris, including Anton's mother and Vasily, who has developed a romantic relationship after hanging out with him on several occasions. 2 Wave Eaters in a row rush towards Anton's direction in the sky. He hits the first one but fails to notice the second one, which drags him to the ground. He lands safely, but in tattered clothing. His Sputnik satellite, Mowgli notices the situation and rushes to his aid. They happily reconcile and link together, forming Anton's combat gear. Anton can now communicate with the rest of the athletes. And with Mowgli in full battle mode, he begins to strike once more. He destroys each wave eater with a single hit, impressing the rest of the athletes. Bello, on the other hand, decides to confront Cherno head-on. He gives Natasha complete command of the ship's stadium, instructing her to return to Earth and save the others if he does not return alive. Natasha agrees and teleports with Bello inside Cherno's ship, where they meet him for the first time. Bello later reveals his true form when confronted by Cherno. They quickly bridge the 20-year chasm, and their battle begins. Cherno sneaks an attack on Bello, but they quickly notice. Natasha teleports right in front of Cherno to kick him, but Valaya stops her. Natasha teleports away from Valaya's attack. Valaya, on the other hand, instantly captures and stuns her. Cherno charges at Bello, gloating that despite being his creation, he has grown much stronger than him. Meanwhile, Anton and Mowgli successfully teleport to the Earth's moon, where they witness the moon's sorry state. Mowgli's alarm goes off when he detects danger nearby. They rush towards the location, remembering Natasha and Bello. Bello enrages Cherno on the ship after launching ice balls at his protogenus. While Bello continues to attack, Cherno constructs a large shield to protect his creation. Bello sneaks up a ball of ice above the shield, directly hitting Cherno. Cherno's entire body is frozen as the ice spreads around him. Valaya's shape shifts to Natasha's form and stuns Bello when his constant attacks break the shield and almost freeze Cherno's entire creation of protogenus. Valaya currently has the upper hand, incapacitating both Bello and himself. And Natasha before destroying the ice that has trapped Cherno. Cherno escapes and strangles Bello with his elastic gear. He says his final words and is about to kill him when Anton arrives. Anton kidnaps Valaya in order to force Cherno to release his grip on Bello. Cherno approaches Anton and challenges him, as if he could never kill Valaya. He says that Valaya has never been a perfect creation, and then stabs her in the abdomen. Cherno's blade lightly touches Anton's gear before pushing him forcefully against the ship's lining, trapping him and rendering him unable to teleport. Bello barely manages to divert Cherno's attention by dropping a bead of ice in an attempt to neutralize the ship's power. The evil Cherno then directs his improvised spear at Bello, killing him instantly. Through their shared cells, Anton seizes the opportunity to communicate with the ship itself. He encounters the puppy-like creature, which chases him furiously. As he approaches the exit, Anton decides to come to a halt and face the creature directly. The wild creature is startled, its limbs coming to a complete halt in front of the Earthling. They both stare at each other for a moment before Anton screams angrily at the creature for its threatening behavior. It roars back at him before sensing their connection. Anton pushes on, gently touching the creature's head to calm it. Soon enough, he has established trust with the creature, allowing him to free himself from the ship's lining. Furthermore, the creature develops feelings for Anton, which its connection to Cherno is eventually severed. Cherno tries to resist and declares that he is the master, but the creature ignores him. He is ejected mercilessly from the ship and thrown onto a massive ball of hot gas, where he melts to death. Natasha regains control of her body after being electrocuted. I was freed from the trap. Anton teleports back to her, and the two of them return to Earth together. The citizens of Earth have grown tired of hiding. They are driven to survive and band together to fight for humanity. They move to position under Vasily's command, ready to fight the approaching wave eaters. When everything comes to a halt and stays put after Cherno's defeat, residents of Moscow erupt in applause as they declare victory. After some time, Natasha's leadership brings the city into better shape. The remaining wave eater's energy has been harnessed to restore and improve the way of life on Earth. She emphasizes in her speech that now is the time for Earthlings to live, not just get by. It is broadcasted around the world, with everyone remembering Bello's sacrifice. After Natasha's speech, the Earthlings reassemble, along with Anton's mother, new stepfather Vasily, Mowgli, and the creature he now calls Kid.